He is going to crumble under the pressure tomorrow. That was the startling opinion yelled by a wide-eyed spectator on the edge of the fairway, and it set the tone for the relentless speculation swirling around the final round of the 125th United States Open at the hallowed Oakmont Country Club. What makes this championship so tantalizing is the sheer volatility of golf's biggest pressure cooker, especially when only 4 players stand below par after 3 days of jaw-dropping drama. Today, we will tear into the heart of that suspense. How top contenders handle a course softened by torrential rain but still rife with punishing rough and impossibly slippery greens, which can instantly derail even the most accomplished professionals. Through a story stuffed with grit, stoic experience, surprising vulnerabilities, and the dreams of snatching a coveted major trophy, we are about to uncover every dramatic detail. The central question: who will conquer Oakmont's famously unpredictable character and seize this major title? And how do Sam Burns, Spaun, Adam Scott, and Viktor Hovland manage the pressures that come with trailing or protecting a lead? In this deep dive, we will dissect each contender's greatest strengths and most glaring weaknesses, unravel the mysteries of their mental approach, and examine the roadmap that might lead to golf immortality. In this massive exploration, prepare yourself for tales of near-miraculous escapes from 5-inch rough, second-guessing oneself on the punishing tee shots, and the unrelenting tension that, at any moment, could shatter a contender's dreams. We will peel back the layers on Sam Burns' battle with the big stick, Spaun's underdog resilience, Adam Scott's quest to show that veteran savvy can still triumph, and Viktor Hovland's remarkable short-game transformation and the fleeting hopes that accompany it. Twice during our story, I will give a friendly invitation. If you find yourself captivated by this saga, feel free to express your support or stay tuned in the easiest way possible. With that said, let us venture into the swirl of speculation, psychological strain, and epic golf drama that is unfolding at Oakmont. At first glance, rain-soaked Oakmont might appear more merciful than usual. Despite the heavy downpours, the course somehow returned to form in record time. The rough remains thick, the penal bunkers still breathe fear into those who wander into them, and the legendary greens still demand exacting approaches. History reminds us that, while softness can marginally help birdie chances, Oakmont is never truly tamed. Many an expert will warn you, just when you think she is playing easier, that is when Oakmont really bites. And you can see it in the players' eyes as they stand on the tee at the unrelenting par 4s. Tension is etched into every brow. The question: who can trust themselves enough to swing boldly, shaping that pure shot into the fairway, and who will crack under the unkind scrutiny of Oakmont's watchful bunkers and devilish putting surfaces? We can begin by examining the leader, Sam Burns, who sits at 4 under par. His week has been a roller coaster that soared to incredible heights, but also flirted with meltdown. Much of the hysteria around him arises from a single fact. The meltdown nearly happened on the first day when Burns posted 5 over in his last 4 holes. He has since proven that this fiasco might have been the jolt he needed to focus, for he calmly battled back and now stands atop the leaderboard. Many fans grab onto the notion that he is hitting his irons the best he ever has, especially for such a consequential tournament. There is an undeniable electricity in the galleries when Burns steps onto the tee, because there is a strong sense that, if he harnesses his potential, he could run away from the field. But in golf, the best storylines equally highlight the glaring flaw that can unravel everything. For Burns, the Achilles heel is his driving game, which is strangely erratic. One day he simply cannot miss a fairway, while the next day he is left searching for any semblance of consistency off the tee. Over the last few rounds of this championship, we have witnessed him lose shots dramatically whenever the driver betrays him. Burns has spoken candidly about his struggles with the big stick, explaining that one mishit can be catastrophic at Oakmont, where the rough is merciless. Nevertheless, as far as major drama is concerned, a fragile driving technique mixed with a world-class iron game is the perfect recipe for an edge-of-your-seat final day. Will Burns keep the ball on the short grass just enough to lean on his lethal approach shots and impeccable scrambling, or will we see that tension in the shoulders reappear, forcing wayward drives and unstoppable slides down the leaderboard? Just behind Burns, trailing by a single shot, stands a golfer who might best be described as the stubborn survivor, Spaun. Spaun has defied expectations all week by preserving his score with a brand of grit rarely matched among his competitors. He has avoided the dreaded double bogey, or worse, a remarkable feat at a layout famous for punishing the smallest error. For someone who has never truly been in major championship contention, Spaun's composure amid Oakmont's swirling chaos borders on the heroic. It is the latest proof that, in golf, a determined mind can paper over many weaknesses, but can Spaun's curious ability to avoid train wrecks continue for another day? Taking a closer look at his season statistics, many pundits raise eyebrows. He is not the strongest around the green, nor is his putting typically considered world-class. Yet he has patched those weaknesses this week, ranking near the top in strokes gained. Putting. Is that lightning in a bottle, doomed to vanish before Sunday's final putt? Or is it an awakening of confidence that could carry him to a major triumph? He is an enigma because his previous starts in big events have not yielded top 20 finishes, but presently he glides through Oakmont with practically no sign of meltdown. A sudden slip might seem inevitable, yet JJ keeps forging ahead, constructing a puzzle that challenges the entire golf world. How far can grit alone carry him? Then we have Adam Scott, a former major champion, older than many of his challengers, yet woven into the hunt for another big trophy. He is at 3 under par, sharing second place, and the golf world buzzes about whether the Australian veteran can shock everyone with a triumphant return to the major champions circle. Even the sound of his name conjures that distinguished victory at Augusta National. Now, facing the pressure of Oakmont, Scott exudes poise and speaks comfortably about how he does not feel overwhelmed by the layout anymore. He has been to Oakmont before, battled its narrow fairways and vicious rough, come away battered but wiser for the wear. Here is the question that frames Adam Scott's quest. Can his trusted ball striking carry him to victory, or has time worn away the final edge he needs? Despite consistent excellence tee to green, he has exhibited slight inconsistencies in hitting greens under the full glare of Oakmont's sun. Whether these are fleeting alignment flaws or something deeper remains to be seen. When Sunday arrives, every mishit will be magnified, especially with younger power hitters ready to pounce on any slip. The possibility of a second career major and the exclamation point it would put on a storied career is more than a little intriguing. For fans of the sport, the temptation to see a seasoned champion like Scott rise again is exhilarating. Could Oakmont reward his experience, or will youth leave him behind? Rounding out the company of contenders is Viktor Hovland, who stands at 1 under par. Like an ever-present spark, Hovland refused to let mishits with his driver define him, though to the untrained eye, one might assume this deficiency would doom him at Oakmont. He has been toiling on the practice range late into the evening, searching for answers to his lingering driving woes. Particularly vexing for him this week has been the pattern of missing fairways, then having to gouge the ball out of that tormenting rough, hoping it emerges unscathed. Yet he still leads the field in strokes gained, tee to green, boosted by his superb iron play and surprising short-game prowess. Perhaps the thick, gnarly rough neutralizes some of the usual short-game artistry, forcing golfers to adopt Hovland's straightforward, no-frills approach around the greens. He has discovered a sweet spot, turning potential bogeys into near miracles. While the rest of the field often flails in the deep grass, Hovland steps up with quiet confidence, judging how hard to swing and trusting the ball will pop out. It might sound too simplistic, but the rustle among the spectators suggests an almost mystical element to his new self-assurance around the green. Of course, the million-dollar question remains. Can he fix that driver for the final push and avoid handing the tournament away with a quick succession of wayward tee shots? Hovland's frustration bubbles up when he discusses these hits that sail right or left at the worst possible times. He is honest about how irritating it can be to know everything else is firing on all cylinders, if only he could keep his tee shots in the fairway. The tension in his own words reveals the mental tightrope he walks. When pressured, will he revert back to steering his driver, guiding it timidly and letting the ball leak out of play? Or will he find the fearless swing that launched him onto the international stage in the first place? As we ready ourselves for the final day, the sense of drama surrounding these 4 aspirants is palpable. The intrigue is layered with intangible questions. How many fairways must Sam Burns hit to stay afloat? How many more times can JJ Spaun rescue himself from potential disaster with a clutch putt or short chip wizardry? Can Adam Scott rewrite his own narrative and prove that major champion prowess does not fade with age? And will Viktor Hovland's driver sabotage his remarkable approach game? Beneath it all lies the tension every golfer knows, that the margin between triumph and heartbreak can be a single grass blade or a fraction of a degree on a club face. Now, if you sink your teeth into this kind of major championship breakdown, feel free to let it be known. A simple moment of support goes a long way. Maybe you decide to share your comments or keep following along so you do not miss the subtle evolutions of what might become one of the most dramatic finishes at Oakmont in recent memory. In an event as large as the United States Open, alliances with certain players often form spontaneously, fueled by personal preference for a young underdog or respect for a seasoned champion. Such allegiances unfold across the world of golf fandom and spark heated debate, fueling the suspense that hovers over Oakmont. So, if you feel like this story resonates, that is the time to help keep the conversation going. We should note that while these four men remain under par, there are always lurking threats from even or one or two over par. History has shown that Oakmont can suffocate a leader's advantage in just a few holes of rough luck and shaky execution. It is not uncommon to witness a newcomer surge up the standings with a few well-timed birdies, but the fact remains, nobody is better placed than the four players in red figures. The edge belongs to them if they can survive Oakmont's final test. Consider again Sam Burns. His relief in capturing the lead was evident as he walked off the final green, crediting heroic par saves and birdies that made the difference. He is second in scrambling this week, a testament to how efficiently he has handled errant approaches or missed fairways. Shaking off a bad drive here or there, Burns has used that wedge magic to convert improbable recoveries into red numbers. It reminds us of that intangible line between despair and euphoria in major championship golf. One day, you are cursing the conditions for burying your ball in a crater-like bunker. The next, you are lauded for a miraculous chip that secures a vital par save. Burns has lived both extremes in just 3 days. But there is an awareness in him that, on Sunday, every misstep looms even larger. The roars from the crowd, often traveling across the course in sound waves that linger just long enough to get in a player's head, exert an unceasing pressure. In these moments, the competitor who can harness the energy and not crumble tends to hoist the trophy. Burns is outwardly calm, but inside, there must be a swirl of emotions he fights to control, particularly as he sets a tee ball in place, lines up, and stares down an unforgiving fairway. Each shot is a microcosm of tension, possibility, and the knowledge that one poor swing could be fatal. That is the essence of the final round at the United States Open. JJ. Spaun comes into Sunday buoyed by an inner confidence that belies his lesser-known status. He embodies the spirit of a determined athlete who believes that statistics cannot measure nerve when it matters most. Still, fans and experts alike remain curious if his season-long performance suggests regression. The shining question, can he continue to hole putts and keep those near-magical greens and regulation stats afloat under the heaviest pressure? Nervous arms can cause putts to go astray, and a slightly teetering mindset can balloon a single tough hole into a triple bogey meltdown. So far, Spaun has soared far above the meltdown threshold. Perhaps that pattern holds on Sunday, or perhaps he finally breaks. The next 18 holes will reveal whether an unproven contender can outlast the tension that brings many to their knees. Meanwhile, Adam Scott represents the tried and tested approach to major championship success. The man has seen it all, from heartbreak in big events to that triumphant day in the pouring rain at Augusta National. He has navigated the windy dunes of the British Isles and the scorching fairways of countless major venues. To add an Oakmont victory to his storied career at his current stage would be an inspiring coda. Observers often describe him as unflappable, his smooth swing the stuff of legends. Even in the chaotic swirl of the brand new generation of star players, he has quietly kept his skill set ready. The question arising now, can he stitch together one more breathtaking round, stave off the younger challengers, and stand once again at the pinnacle of golf? In the midst of that question, we come to Viktor Hovland, who is determined to prove that a misfiring driver does not have to define his destiny at Oakmont. As soon as his round finished on Saturday, he was out on the range, pounding drive after drive, searching for the perfect timing to let the club flow and not guide it timidly. Hours later, he was still at it, the sun dipping low behind the Pennsylvania hills. This reveals a deeper layer of determination and frustration. Hovland is uncompromising in his desire to rectify the one element that might keep him from a major title. If his range obsession pays off, his approach game and surprisingly stout short game might let him sprint past the competition. Of course, the mental game is half the battle. Every major champion in living memory has had to stare down the creeping doubts that come when victory beckons. If Hovland's first few tee shots find fairways, he could gain a powerful surge of momentum, fueling the belief that the driver is fixed. But if he blocks or pulls an errant one early and finds the ball half buried in Oakmont's cruel rough, fans might witness second-guessing and tension that snowballs all too quickly. Golf fans around the globe are primed for final round fireworks. The unpredictability of a United States Open at Oakmont resonates with watchers who appreciate just how precarious a lead can be. We have seen leads vanish. We have seen improbable comebacks. We have seen heartbreak in bunkers and redemption made complete by a single heroic putt. Thus, the stage is set. Sunday's final pairing might produce an epic showdown, or we might find ourselves enthralled by an earlier pairing surging with a string of birdies. That is the magic of this tournament. No storyline is carved in stone. If this behind-the-scenes narrative of tension, hope, and determination lights a spark in you, do not be shy about giving a quick nod of support, especially if you love exploring the subtleties of major championship pressure. Your involvement enriches this conversation and could help us continue bringing you deep dives into the pulse-pounding moments when the world's finest golfers put everything on the line. With your help, we will keep sharing the drama, the hidden complexities, and the bigger picture that makes an event like the United States Open so mesmerizing. Late on Saturday, the weather forecast for the final day appeared to promise dry but windy conditions, which only heightens the intensity. Oakmont's narrow fairways demand near perfection in the breeze, especially if the wind should swirl unpredictably. The slightest gust might exaggerate a draw or fade, turning a shot that seemed destined for the fairway into a short-lived dream, replaced by a ball lying deep in the rough. Meanwhile, the putting surfaces could begin to firm up, returning Oakmont to its trademark speed, amplifying the difficulty of every short stroke. Under those conditions, Sam Burns' margin for error off the tee feels dangerously slim. Yet his remarkable approach play might give him an advantage if the wind remains manageable. Spaun's consistent fairway hitting strategy might come to the forefront, although the more challenging environment could unravel him if his newly discovered putting confidence falters. Adam Scott has the experience to handle windy major conditions, but the question is whether he can sustain his ball-striking advantage for all 18 holes. Then there is Viktor Hovland, who might thrive in adversity if he finds that perfect tempo with his driver. The interplay of these stories is why Sunday at Oakmont is so highly anticipated among golf aficionados. Many watchers feel certain that, by late Sunday afternoon, we will witness the crowning of a well-deserving champion who has been tested to the outer limits of skill, nerve, and resilience. The victor will have navigated swirling rumors, expectant onlookers, and the career-defining pressure that only a major can deliver. When the final putt drops, we will see unfiltered elation and heartbreak, for that is the duality that defines tournament golf. In the grand tapestry of this year's championship, the threads of drama are woven around the unstoppable determination of these four men. Sam Burns knows he is one day from greatness if he can patch the holes in his driving. JJ. Spaun senses that fate might be smiling upon him, granting him the dream scenario of capturing his first major in improbable fashion. Adam Scott yearns for one last exclamation on a career filled with accolades, showing that experience and class can still conquer one of the toughest tests in golf. Viktor Hovland sees a chance to break through the final barrier, harnessing the unstoppable synergy of his iron play and new short-game confidence to triumph if he can just figure out how to keep that driver in play. Among these storylines, we also must remember the intangible role that nerves play. A single putt can become a magnet for self-doubt. A single chip can transform from a routine flick into an unspeakable meltdown that unravels a contender's focus. Major championships do not hand out trophies lightly. They demand a relentless commitment to mental calmness. Each of these men will battle their internal dialogues, that inner critic that begs them to leave a shot short or try too hard to guard against a mistake. In the final dawn, a champion emerges by conjuring the perfect balance of aggression and caution. Finally, let us expand the lens. The entire golf world is watching, not merely for star names, but for dramatic stories that can captivate minds across the globe. Oakmont's history is rich with unforgettable moments, putts that soared into highlight reels, heartbreaks that stained a competitor's memory, and winners who carried the weight of major glory for the rest of their lives. This championship adds another chapter, one that fans will remember, a day of swirling emotions, spectacular shots, and a final scoreboard that might read like a novel of redemption or heartbreak. In a few short hours, the tension will build into that crescendo known as the back nine at a United States Open. Players will step onto tees, clutching yardage books, praying their swings hold up under the glaring eyes of the crowd. Caddies will confer in hushed tones, gauging wind speeds, pin placements, and the mental state of their boss. Reporters will jockey for vantage points, anticipating that unforgettable moment they can immortalize in words or images. And families watch from the gallery or at home, hearts pounding as the people they love endure the crucible of Championship Sunday. Once the dust settles, Oakmont will either remain undefeated or yield just enough for a champion to walk away with the trophy. In that fleeting moment, the victor raises arms in triumph, and the heartbreak of the others becomes part of the folklore. Observers will talk about missed putts, questionable club decisions, or heroic par saves from impossible lies. The champion's name will be engraved in major history, remembered for defying Oakmont's punishing test. And golf fans around the world, momentarily breathless, will savor the conclusion to a story that only the United States Open, with its centuries-long tradition and merciless demand for precise golf, can author. That, in essence, is why we watch and discuss with such passion. Who among our final four contenders will tame Oakmont on the pivotal day, not merely with power, but with finesse, cunning, and an unflinching belief in themselves when everything is on the line? There is no shortage of possibilities. Indeed, the climactic close of a major golf championship is a tapestry woven of tense minutes, mesmerizing shots, and the intangible forces that decide destinies inside the ropes. So, settle in and keep your eyes glued to every swing, every putt, every facial expression. Will Sam Burns' unstoppable iron game overshadow the risk of further driving struggles? Will Spaun's well-honed grit and improbable consistency under pressure finalize his place among major champions? Will the serene experience of Adam Scott triumph against the sword of youth? Or will Viktor Hovland's relentless pursuit on the driving range resurrect his tee shots and propel him to a new level of stardom? Before we find out, pause for a moment and reflect. If you love these unfolding stories of golf's greatest tests, it might be the perfect time to show some support. Let your interest or enthusiasm shine in whatever small gesture feels right. Call it a digital applause for these athletes' incredible feats. Because when Sunday is done, only one name will stand at the top of the leaderboard. But the memories of the final push, the heartbreak, and the triumph belong to everyone who bore witness. Oakmont has tested them all, and soon it will reveal who has the medal to stand alone, champion of the 125th United States Open. Game on!